so like down right now.
Very nervous.
Yeah.
Why are you guys nervous? Just a chit chat. Actually, this is my first video filming in English, so
Up the tension.
maybe.
Yeah.
So, anyway, before we start, I'm sorry that my English is not that good. So sometime I might get just say in Korean. In that case, please help me. So actually, we are doing the cheers thing.
Oh.
I cannot explain in English why we are doing it, but
You know our channel's name, right? Do you know?
Yeah, it is like cheers, right? Like talking over drinks.
Right.
Yeah.
What?
한잔해.
Oh!
한잔해.
Vanzoo, 한잔해.
Today we invited new people to our video. Yay! So before we start, could you tell us about yourself, like briefly, your name and about your occupation, or if it's possible, you show us the education background or something.
Sure. You want to start?
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Chris, and I currently work as a CTO at a healthcare tech company in Vancouver. It's a startup, pretty small company right now. But my background is in UPC engineering physics. So I graduated when I was when I graduated in 2016, and I came to Canada back in 2004 when I was 11. So been here since. Yeah.
And my name's Nick. I studied at York University. I did a degree in physics and a degree in philosophy. Kind of a strange mix, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, so I had a little bit of fun and tried some different things. I started off working at law firms, then worked at a bank, and now I work at a pharmaceutical company. So again, kind of a strange career path, but I've stumbled my way through life and found myself here.
How long did you guys like live in Vancouver? Always Vancouver, or did you guys stay in another state or other place?
I lived in Europe for about 8 months. And then in Montreal, but mostly in Vancouver for the last 20 years.
I was born in Quebec, but I moved to Ontario when I was very, very little. Spent most of my life there, and then once I was done university, I briefly lived in Washington, D.C., and then moved to Vancouver. So I moved here in 2011, and I've been here ever since.
So we just wanted to ask you guys, because you're living here, you're like Canadian and working at a local company. So we wanted to ask you about that question. So I think it's better to ask you that if Korean come to Vancouver with the working holiday visa, it used to be a 1 year, but now it's 2 year. Is it like enough to get a job and work here, the time period?
I would say it's depends a lot on the industry that you're looking to work in. If you're coming here as kind of a younger person out of university, you're looking for a service job or something in an entry-level position, it's probably a good enough amount of time. If you're coming here as somebody who has some work experience, you're looking for a more specialized job, then it might be challenging with 1 year. With 2, I think even for that, looking for a specialized job, something in a particular industry, specific job role, 2 years is going to be pretty good.
How do you think?
So I can only speak for engineering-related jobs. I believe, based on my research, that engineering jobs are not available to people that are coming here for working holiday. If they are working for their full PR or other things, maybe if they have the relevant degrees and some kind of accreditation, they're able to work at some companies that are sponsoring them. But for working holiday, yeah, you're not allowed to do engineering jobs. Unfortunately.
Yes. So I think that because of that, the many Korean coming to Vancouver with the working holiday visa, they work in a service job, right?
Yes.
How about this? Like, and so Henry and I took a co-op program. So was like 1 year program that like you're taking class for 6 months
Yeah.
and should do 6 months like internship for full time.
Okay.
Is
I
it?
don't know if there's a difference between co-op and internship. Maybe you can briefly explain about that.
Yeah. Do you want to take this one?
No, you should take it. I don't have any experience.
I think there's a lot of co-ops in engineering.
Oh yeah.
Is like that was my assumption. So I'm thinking you might have more relevant. Input.
Co-op, based on my experience, is coming through school. I think similar to what you mentioned. It is. I think you can use the word co-op and internship interchangeably, but co-op is coming more from the university or the school itself. Everything is kind of it's part of a program within the school, where they have partnerships with companies locally that help you get a job, and the expectation is that you are still a student, so the employers don't have as high of an expectation as if you are an actual working professional after your graduation. So in a sense, yeah, that's very useful. I think internship, maybe it's similar, but from what I understand, is something that you can either do it with no pay, so as like a volunteer internship, or just very low pay compared to actual full-time employees.
So like if you do the core program, you can get paid like better than internship, or
I can't speak for that. I think that depends on the company. But I would say co-op is you won't get the full pay if you do co-op compared to an FTE, full-time employee.
But does the co-op mean you get a job after like working some period?
Sometimes it can be that. I know that, like an internship, you're often representing yourself directly to a company. Whereas with the co-op program, it's going to depend a lot on the school and the relationship they have with companies. Some school programs will begin with a co-op program, and if the company likes you, the school will actually help you get a job with them. They'll kind of represent you and speak on your behalf and help you to get a full-time job with them after you graduate. It depends a lot on the school and the program in particular, and they tend to be very different from each other. Some of them might be a little bit of pay, some of them might be none, some of them might only be during the summer between courses, and that's really it. They're just providing you a bit of work experience with no expectation of it turning into a full-time job. Generally, very specialized school programs will often give you better co-op opportunities because they know that people with that skill set are quite rare and hard to find. So the companies are actually quite eager to turn it into a full-time opportunity if they enjoy working with you and think you're a good fit. Whereas an internship, generally you're representing yourself. It could be anything from no pay to a little bit of pay, and sometimes it turns into a full job, sometimes it doesn't, and it's just you work for however long and that's it. I would say co-op probably is more likely to turn into a job, and generally you get more pay, but it does vary quite a lot.
Is it like mandatory?
No, I think a lot of students do internships, especially these days. It's quite common as a first way to get work experience and kind of start building your resume when you have little to no work experience. It's extremely common. Some programs do exist as well that you apply to them and they have companies that they work for. So it's a little bit like a step between an internship where you're fully independent and a co-op where your school is representing you. There are companies that will specialize in finding those internships. They do generally charge a fee, or they might take a portion of the money that the company's paying you to be an intern. So those services are rarely free, but they can help you connect with companies, and they might have specific skill sets if they're specialized, or they might just serve anyone who's a student.
So I mean, if uni has more power, like more naming, ranking in general, you get more chance to get a job or internship, right?
Yes, that's right. So they'll often be able to push for you ahead of somebody who just approaches the company independently.
So they named it as a co-op, but in reality, like student really
You were more independent. You had to pursue
So
the opportunities
you have to
on
get
your
a
own.
job by your own or something. So
Okay.
and one other question is that the networking. I'm gonna read this one. In Korea, it is almost forbidden to get a job from networking. No, it's like it's not forbidden, but
But actually, it is forbidden. It is. You can say forbidden.
Yeah.
How did you get hired? And then if you say it
Some-
like, in public, I got hired because of some guy recommended me. There might be a problem in Korea.
Oh boy.
But I think it's not forbidden, but like commonly people have some
It's very
kind of
frowned upon.
negative perspective if someone get hired by networking.
Okay.
But like how you guys think? How's in Canada or
I don't know what your experiences have been, but networking has been so important for me getting jobs. I wish it wasn't. I don't think it's a good thing, honestly. I think it's maybe poisonous to like the success of a country in general, at least in my personal opinion. But it has been very important for me in my career. The people that I've known have helped me find opportunities. I would say almost every job opportunity I've had has been because someone that I know has helped me find a job.
Maybe because it's your good. It's because you're good. You're good at working in something. It's not like you bribe someone.
No, I mean, certainly not. It's just been, you know, I tell people that I know that, oh, I need a job right now, or I'm looking for something better than what I have right now. And they'll tell me about opportunities. But in the past, I've had several jobs where people that I've known have put in a good word with the hiring manager. And something like that is here, at least in my personal experience. I don't know about yours. It's happened quite a lot, and it is helpful. I think with the way the job market is, most jobs have a huge number of applicants. So anything you can do to stand out from that group is going to help you get noticed. So it doesn't necessarily help you get the job, but it helps you get considered for the job. Because if they have 300 applicants for one position, the likelihood they'll go through all 300 resumes is quite low. They're probably going to look until they find a few people they like, and then they'll give them interviews and move forward with the process. So you're just trying to get seen, and usually someone who works there who says, hey, take a look at Nick's resume, I think he'd be a good fit for the position, it'll at least get you seen and looked at. I think it would be surprising if that got you the job just like that. But getting noticed out of that huge flood of applicants is often going to require some word of mouth, which I don't know if that's great. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but it's...
I wouldn't say it's not bad.
Yeah.
Or it's bad. It's just, I think it's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The way it is definitely an unfortunate...
I think people in Korea also do that, but they actually like not open. Like,
okay, yes.
We're
Off the
they don't say like we're doing this. We're
Right.
just hiding everything.
Okay. Fair
but
enough.
the
Yeah.
research is like the same.
Yeah, I think it's quite the contrary here. In fact, employers actually encourage employees to reach out within their network. So in the tech sector, there are a lot of instances where big companies like Amazon, Google, Facebook, they would ask their employees for referral, and if there is a successful hire, whoever referred that person would get a referral bonus of a few $1,000s.
That's a really good point.
And so, yeah, it's actually encouraged here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with like specialized jobs
Yeah.
where it's a small pool of qualified people, that's definitely a good point.
So like, is that relationship like continue after that person hire? Because like in Korea, we don't do the reference
Oh, referral? Yeah.
when they hire people, but they do some kind of keeping that relationship during this person working at that company, because like people try to promote because of that relationship, keeping that relationship. Is that relationship continue during work, or is it just for hiring?
Well,
So-
I'm thinking what he means is, does that connection also help you rise up through the ranks in it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
I don't think it I don't think it continues. I don't think. For example, as a team lead, I want to hire a friend because I know he's really good. I hire him. He joins my team. I don't think I would necessarily like promote him unless he's really good at his job. Once you join the team, you're kind of evaluated based on your skills across the entire team, not just the fact, and you're not just looking at the fact that he was your friend and that's why he joined the company in the first place. That's how I would look at it, but obviously it depends on the
Did it
individuals.
happen anytime?
That I know of?
Yeah.
No.
No, I mean like, did you hire someone from?
Oh, that I know of, like within my network? No. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. In terms of like team leadership and having to separate your personal relationship from your work relationship, knowing someone and putting in a good word for them is very different from giving them preferential treatment in the workplace. And I think that would really be frowned upon. Like, I would certainly put in a good word for Henry, having worked with him before. Yes, I like him personally, but I also know that he has a great work ethic. So I would for sure say, like, yes, he'd be a great member of our team and you should hire him. But if I were his hiring manager and I was giving him a work evaluation versus other people that I don't have a personal relationship with, I would really have to keep those two things separate. And I think that can be challenging, and with some people, it might be harder to separate those two than others. But in general, I think it would be frowned upon to give a friend preferential treatment for promotions and raises and things of that nature. That would be frowned upon. And I think that'd be very different from just giving them an opportunity to get a job and show what they're capable of, versus saying, I think he's better than another applicant, even if they're... That's always the challenge, right? It's like, should you or should you not? I think we tend to have our biases and like certain people, but I think when you're a manager, you have that responsibility to be fair. And it can be challenging. I'm not going to say that it never happens. It might like sneak into our decision making. But I think for most people here, there would be an understanding that you should do your best not to. Whether or not you can completely, I think is...
That's the moment when managers or higher managers should be pro, right?
Yeah, exactly. You've got to really focus on your job responsibilities and being fair, trying to focus on building the best team possible. It can be difficult. So I'm not going to say it never happens. I think it probably certainly does. But I think most people here would agree, do your best to keep that separate.
What if everyone did all good, but you gotta pick one?
I mean, that would be tough, right? I think even then, I would say I would take a look more on the skills of the team, and even if everyone's performance is the same, different people have different skills.
Right.
And maybe one person has skills that your leadership group doesn't currently represent. It might be nice to choose that person just to round out the leadership team. If that happens to be your friend, that's nice. But it would probably be best to focus on that rather than, you know.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not saying that every Korean doing that, but I had some kind of like experience in previous job. But I'm sorry if somebody got offended. I'm just sharing my experience. So okay.
Just like fuck you, we don't care.
Is that making it into the video?
I don't care.
Okay. Then how about like English skill? Is English a huge barrier to becoming an employee here? Like, how about my English right now? Can I get a job here?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
Would this certain level be like a huge barrier
No.
to get a job?
No, I've worked in lots of different industries, and I would say like at a law firm, the level of English in general is higher because language is a crucial part
Yeah.
of their industry, and like the nuances, the very small details of how you communicate can be crucial. But even there, we had people that English was not their first language, and they would just fit positions that, like, they weren't lawyers, right? But the law firm needed people who were doing their communications work, their social media work, their organization and logistics, you know, different roles at that law firm. And in those roles, we had people that English was not their mother tongue, and that was fine. At your level of English, I would certainly not say that it would be a burden. I don't think most jobs would see your level of English as being an obstacle to success.
Maybe.
Maybe. I would say one thing that you might find is very challenging is in an interview, even if the job does not require fine language skills, like a lawyer or something like that, interviews are very different from the jobs themselves, and interviews are often highly dependent on your communication skills. So if you're self-conscious about your language skills in English, you're probably not going to present yourself with confidence in an interview.
So it's not about the English.
Yes.
It's just how
much you know about your
how to.
Yeah, so you might be a little bit more shy. You might start to stumble over your words because you're looking for a specific word, and then because of that, you start to second guess yourself, right? So I would say it's not necessarily an obstacle to your success in the job, but it might affect your self-confidence in the interview, which would then affect your performance in the interview. So the interview is often very different from the job, and anything that affects your self-confidence is going to affect your interview skills. So that's one of the biggest challenges in applying for a job, is presenting yourself with the confidence that I know I'm qualified for this job and I know I can do a great job, but you have to convince someone else of that. And that can be a very different challenge from the actual responsibilities of the job itself.
Well, which means that you have to get it right, like 100%.
Yeah, I would say practice, honestly. Apply to lots of jobs, even jobs that you're maybe not super excited about. It's because simply getting out there and doing those interviews is going to give you the confidence to go into one that you really want. And knowing, like, I've gone to 20 interviews, they were all jobs that I'm not crazy about, but now I know what the interview is going to be like. I've heard common questions. I've practiced my answers. You'll get that confidence to go into an interview and really nail the one that you want.
What if you face something that, like, unexpected questions?
I mean, that's actually great, because if it's a job that you don't really want and they ask you an unexpected question, that's your opportunity to think of a creative answer for next time.
Yeah.
What if it's a job? It's your dream job or something?
You know what? I've definitely had interviews that I've stumbled and had no idea how to answer a tricky question. Sometimes that can be charming too. If you go into a job that you really want and they realize that they've asked you something that you were really unprepared for, how you answer it and how you kind of stumble to some kind of answer, even if it's maybe not very beautifully said, it can be charming, right? Like just watching someone go, oh, I didn't think of that, and trying to think of something. It kind of depends on how you react to it. I think if they ask you a question you're not prepared for and you just kind of collapse, you fall apart and you just get quiet, that can be worse, because then they start to wonder, is this how they'll perform at work when they're presented with a challenge and they don't know how to fix it? Mm-hmm. Right? So that they're going to kind of think, this person was presented with a question, they were clearly not prepared for it, but they rose to the occasion, even if it was messy. Whereas if you just kind of go, oh, and get quiet, they're going to say, well, maybe this guy's not going to be able to rise to the occasion when there's a work problem that's like this.
What if your strength is like be honest and you just say that I actually don't know how to solve this problem, or I've never faced this kind of situation?
I've done that, yeah. Absolutely. The brutal honesty sometimes helps. I don't know, I'm talking a lot. I have a tendency to do that, so why don't you take this one? Henry knows. I have a tendency to talk too much.
So what was the question?
So